old-fashioned sand table. It's commonly used in the military, planning for a battle or an operation. They'll go out in a big sandbox. Battalion, the S2, S3, they get together and they have a big sandbox. They've got figurines, soldiers, tanks, artillery, aviation, and they build the sand. They'll look at a map. They'll look at the terrain features on a map, and this sandbox will mimic the grid squares, however much area that operation is going to take up. They'll use string as phase lines, and as the troops move through the phase lines, they usually have a theme: trees, so phase line oak, phase line pine, phase line cherry. They'll get grass or little sticks and trees to represent wooded areas. They'll put in water. I mean, I've seen these really detailed. So this is essentially the sand table of life. Here's birth, and I've used my sons, myself, and my dad as the characters in this sand table story. Here's the lines that we live in our life, our boundaries, if you will, the left and right boundaries. These objects all represent obstacles that we'll face in life. Obviously, when you're born, it's dependent upon, each person. You may have a child that was born with an illness or a handicap, so they may have a bunch of obstacles up here on the front end. And then as they learn to work through them, the obstacles may spread out. Common life span of a person, this is essentially what it may look like. So down here, my 9-year-old Colton, right here. He's born, and here's 9 years of his life. He's had some obstacles to overcome. As he's walked his path, could be first day of school, or if they had trouble walking, you could put an obstacle here. Trouble learning to talk. But as he's gone, I'm thinking about my son and his life. School was an obstacle. That was a big hurdle for him to overcome, was getting into that and getting into that routine. He's had a little bit of trouble in school. The past couple of years, we went from homeschooling to a public school. Those are obstacles that were overcome. They weren't huge obstacles. Here, he's 9, going on 10. His personality is changing. He's starting to face an obstacle with peers, behavioral, kind of coming into his self. These are obstacles here that my the older two sons, Weston and Mason, that they've gone through and are going through. Weston's 18, Mason's 20. Typical teenage years. So, started roughly here, high school. Big obstacles, peers, school, girls, friends, and athletics. This right here is very typical of a high schooler. Once they leave high school, they've overcome that obstacle. Now there's life, and this could be college or just life, depending on what they've chosen to do. Next up, we have my son-in-law. He's 24, so he's finished high school, gone through those obstacles in life, married my daughter, has his own insurance agency. Things are going well. The insurance agency, getting to that level, it was quite a climb. He's about halfway. He's on top of this obstacle right now. He's nailed it. He's got his own. He's 24. And he's an insurance agent, has people working for him, has his own office. Pretty amazing. These are obstacles that he may face. Obstacles that I've faced. I'm 45. 26 years in the Army. Combat deployments. I had my first wife. This life was pretty familiar. In our 20s, we had our rough patches for sure. And then we got divorced. And after we had 3 kids, single dad, injuries, professional career, and here's where I am now. I'm climbing a mountain, and I wouldn't say it's a midlife crisis at all. It's normal struggles in life. Happily married, 14 years. We had a son together, Colton. He's back down there in the beginning. And here's Grandpa, my dad. This life, this timeline here, can be real common for many, if not most people. My dad's 68. He's 68 or 69. He'll be 68 in a few weeks. So he's done well. He's worked through a lot in life. It's come a long way. This is an unknown, because obstacles are not avoidable in life. They happen. Challenges. So I don't know what that may be. Could be an illness. Could be loss of my mom. We don't know. And then down here is death, with an obstacle here. Because usually before death, it's hard. It's challenging. Could be old age, could be disease, cancer. This is a typical looking timeline for most people. So the intent here is to paint a picture of life for you, kind of do some vision casting, and see that life happens for everybody. There's obstacles. You may have lived to here and thought, man, I've had a tough life. Jiminy Christmas, what a ride it's been. Well, stand by, because you got all this ahead of you. And knowing that won't be such a, it won't be such a shock whenever things happen in life. Divorce, death, good things, promotions, babies, good things happen, and bad things happen. That's the cycle. Having the skills, good habits, good routines, good peer group, good friends, positive influence in your life, that's what helps gets us through each of these obstacles here. So if you haven't done it, it's important to develop and practice those good routines. Practice healthy living, healthy lifestyle. If you need to prune and get some of the turds out of your life, people who don't serve you well, people who don't feed you, get rid of them. Every obstacle that we've overcome, every obstacle that we've faced, if it was a bad experience, people tend to hook it onto their belt like an anchor, like a ball and chain. When they get to here, they can hardly move because they're dragging all that with them. But you can choose to drop those and let those go. Stop dragging it. This stuff just weighs you down and doesn't serve you. But you can take the good experiences from each of those challenges and take them with you. My dad's one of the smartest men I know. He's extremely wise. To become that sage in life, become that person who has a lot of answers, better yet, to become that person that can help guide these young Thundercats through that path in life, that's the goal. Is to become that Jedi Master, that Shaolin monk, that Moses, that Noah, that Yoda, become that person that asks questions so we can help, so that helps us to figure out our best course of action for each of these obstacles that we'll run into and we'll have to work through. So there's life, beginning and end, and everything in between.